grab a pen or a marker, and we will go over this. So kind of see this as a test review as well, not just an AC. So here we go. My key right here. So here we have an inscribed polygon, right? By that I mean, right, we focus on the big polygon, and then the dashed lines we worry about later. And remember, dashed lines could also extrude outside, in which case you would have exterior angles happening. Remember that I could also have, because I can't cover it all, right? I could also have a line going to the center and then out to another corner of the polygon. That's when you're dealing with central angles. Okay, remember central angles? So I tend to not mix them up, just because it's just a pain to mark even, right? So, but you gotta watch out for one or the other. I have so many of these saved. There's no question, no two questions will be exactly the same, right? So here we go. How would we start with this? You count the number of sides. My suggestion to you, I don't think many got this wrong, but you put a check mark where you start counting, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, right? And then you determine that once and for all that that's the number of sides here. And then I scan. There's probably the best one to start with, and I will start with X because I recognize it's the interior angle of this 13-sided polygon, right? So I will probably do that on the side here, right? So X, you can just go right ahead and write out the formula for interior angles of a, and this is not divided by 2, this is divided by n, right? So you have to make sure you get that right. So if you do divide by 2, you're going to get a huge number, right? It's too big. So then you realize something went wrong there. And for this particular one, you get 152.31 degrees, okay? So that answers X. You show me the formula. Please do so. Most of you did, so way to go. And then it's really up to you where you want to go. If you want to focus on this diagonal here, forming that triangle, you go for it, right? You just go right ahead. And I know that this angle right here is the same as that one right there, right? It's just the interior angle of that big polygon. So for Y, I'm just going to go 180 because that's the triangle, minus 152.31 divided by 2. You got to make sure you do the top first, which I think I can't see that as a theme that you were getting that wrong. So 13.85 degrees. I think some of you forgot to divide by 2. I actually did see some of that. So that's Y. And then I'm going to go probably Z. Let's maybe do that over here. So I recognize that, right, this is a trapezoid. So 4 sides would have 360 as the sum, minus there are 2 interior angles right here. And 2 interior angles, so I would just go to 152.31. And in this case, the interior angle happened to be one of the angles I needed to find anyways. But it could be that it's not, doesn't have a letter attributed to it. You just call this capital I, right? And then solve for capital I because you need it for everything that's happening next. Then we divide that by 2. Why are we dividing by 2? Because Z here is the same thing as this angle over here. So we need to split, when we subtract that from 360, we need to split that in half to spread out the angles equally, okay? So you get, for Z, I get 27.69. I think it would be wise to show a little bit more work, but I'm correcting this right now with you, so it's okay to just keep it like that. So Z is done. I'm going to go J here. Can I say something? Focus on the diagonal and the outside of the big polygon. Like always focus on that part, not this inside part here. Okay, so this is what, a pentagon? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it is a pentagon. So J is 540 minus, there are 3 interior angles, right? If you want to do the same, 1, 2, 3 interior angles. Therefore, I need to go minus 3 times 152.31 divided by 2. Make sure you round everything to 2 decimals, right? So J is 4154. There we go. And then we need to solve for F here. I'm just going to say something here, guys. Some of you were like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like it's a heptagon in here. But when you're doing the inside, this is not an isosceles shape. You can't do the divided by 2, right? So don't fall for that. What I would say instead, you know that this y is over here. So this angle and this angle, subtract these two from 152.31, right, to get what remains in here. So when diagonals touch like that, just use the angle you already know. So I'm going to show the work as follows. I'm going to say angle F is going to be 152.31 minus y, because y and y is the same, minus z, okay? So some of you forgot to subtract that angle on the other side of it, right? So much fun, right? Some of you are having fun with it, some of you not so much, right? You'd rather just be over. I hear you. 1385. This is probably one of the units that a lot of students either love or they hate it, right? So, but that doesn't mean you're not going to try, right? If something doesn't jive with you, you're not just going to be like, whatever, right? It is what it is. You still give it your all, right? Like you give it your best and see what happens. F is 110. What happened? And units, right? Make sure you don't lose marks for that. There we go. 110.77. So again, if you make a mistake way upstream, some of you get totally different answers after, but I honored it, right? Like if you got the wrong interior angle, all of these numbers will be different because it's dependent on getting this one right. So this is technically my orange. This is probably the most important one of all in this. Oh yeah, B. I'm gonna make B a learning opportunity. I don't think that's quite fair because I haven't done one like that yet. But let's do this anyways, okay? So don't worry, you just copy as best you can. So what does it say there? Draw a straight line from point A to C, then determine if AB is parallel to CD. So AB is right here, and it wants us to draw a line from point A draw a straight line from point A to C, then determine if AB is parallel to CD. That doesn't make sense. Sorry, I just confused you like you wouldn't believe it, right? I think ultimately, like I changed this question and I actually introduced this one here. I want to know if this one is parallel to that one. And so technically, this is what I'm trying to do here. If you were to, I'm going to pick a different color, probably green. Oh, I already have green. Sorry, pink. If you were to draw a straight line from A to C, everything is falling apart here. That is a transversal. The reason why I want you to connect this is so that we can call that the transversal between the two lines we're trying to see are parallel. So transversal. And I'm contemplating just not doing this part here. I think it's going to be too crazy for I haven't even introduced this, but my goal would be to find this angle, then find this angle, and what are these two called between these two lines? These are called CIAs, right? Consecutive interior. If they add up to 180, then we can say that these two are parallel. Okay. So that was going to be my plan of action, but let's just leave it omit. Okay. I haven't done even a simple one like this, so I wouldn't expect you to have done all of that work right now. If anybody did, way to go. If that's what you were able to do, way to go. Let's keep going. This one is actually one that was on the quiz. I don't know if you recognize it. You know what the biggest mistake was that I could see is some of you tried this. You went, oh, it's an interior angle, so 176, don't copy this, is n minus 2 times 180. And what did you put down here? A lot of you put a 2 down there. And I think that's because you're so used to the polygon, right? Inscribed polygon. This is an n, right? This is an n here. That's the interior angle formula. It's n, not 2, right? So how do you go about this? You multiply both sides by n. That should be your first order of business. Order of operations there. So that's 176n. And then I just distribute this here already. So that would be 180n minus 360. And then it's just going from there. Here's one. What now? I bring the 180 over. So it's 176n minus 180n, and that's equal to negative 360. This gives you negative 4n, which equals negative 360. We divide both sides by negative 4, n is equal to 90. That's one way of doing it. Nobody took me up on my alternative version of this. This is the other method. The exterior angle can be found by going 180 minus 176, correct? Because the exterior and the interior are supplementary. So that means that the exterior angle is 4 degrees. Now you know the exterior angle, so we just equate that to the formula for an exterior angle, which is just 360 divided by n. You can just put a 1 there, cross multiply and divide. So n is equal to 360 times 1 divided by 4, which is 90 as well. So either way works. And this is, I don't know, I feel like you could honestly have an example on your study sheet and it works the same way every single time. You just have to replace what goes here, right? So whatever interior angle I give you, that's what goes in here, and then you just follow. And if you get a decimal, you did something wrong, right? It has to be a whole number. Tessellations, tiling. You remember how to do that? That was not on the quiz, right? But can you tile a floor using dodecagons where n is equal to 12? Squares, n is equal to 4. Hexagons, n is equal to 6. Can you use that to tile a floor? Well, let's see here. The interior angle of a square is 90 degrees. The interior angle of a hexagon, anybody do the math on that? That's 120 degrees. Right? the interior angle of a 12-sided is 12 minus 2 times 180 divided by 12. And that is 150 degrees. So you basically need to figure out all the interior angles of those shapes that you're planning on using for that tiling project. Okay. So to find out, we go 360. Remember, we're always trying to see, can we somehow find a combination that uses up 360 degrees? So I'm going to take off one of each, right? And when you do that, you actually end up with 0 degrees. That's what you want. It may have been that when you subtracted one of each, there's some left. So you might have to see which shape still fills in that little gap that's left over. But in this case, one of each will have done the trick. And yes, right, therefore, you can tile the floor using one of each shape. So sometimes you have to use one of the first one, one of the second one, maybe two of the third one, like whatever combination is there. So I would give you, basically, I would say 1 mark for stating all the interior angles, and then another mark for like subtracting and actually stating whether or not it can be done. There's really not much to it. If I had asked you, can you only use squares? Okay. That's when you do the dividing part, right? 360 divided by 90 is exactly 4. Instead of subtracting it 4 times, right, to get 0, I would just divide. But if it's a combination, then I do subtract. Last but not least, so see the parallel lines here, right? But remember, you're only between 2 worlds at the same time. So which one should I start with? I'm going to start with K because it's vertically opposite. You don't have to, but there it is, vertically opposite. And it doesn't matter which one you did first, but that's what I started with. Then I'm going to start maybe with Y here. I'm seeing that this angle right here and that angle right there would be alternate exterior, right? If I'm talking about these two parallel lines, so Y is my second go-to. Thank you for letting me know which one, in which order you solve this in. Okay, so alternate exterior angles are congruent. So it's probably good practice to write this in. That way you know. T, I can use straight angle. So I'm going to do that next. That's my third option. And I get 65. Right, 65. And I'm just going to go 180. It's good. It's a good idea to show me what you subtracted, right? And then telling me, hey, that's because I used a straight angle property there. So I got that one. This is 65. Good. What else can I use? What is this angle? Travel along the transversal and this angle right here. See that? It's like one of these. Right? You have the 50 here. And you have another angle here, and we know they're alternate interior, right? So this is actually 50 as well. You ignore the line in between for that one. So it's just these two. So 50 for X. That's my fourth angle. And I'm using alternate interior angles are congruent. And for D, you can use CIA here, or you can use alternate interior again. Regardless of how you do it, you're going to get 65. Okay, so angle D is my fifth option, 65 CIAs. So I'm just going to go 180 minus 115, that's 65. Or alternate interior angles are congruent. It's up to you. Z, I don't know if you can use triangle. You can use that. You can use the straight line right here. So just subtract these two. So Z ends up being 65 as well. I will use sum of triangle is equal to 180. Yeah, there we go. So this backside is worth 10, and the front is worth 5 because we're going to omit B, right? So that's 15. So just make it out of 15 total. And so for homework, basically, just go through all the questions that I've assigned at one point. Mystery angles, try to find some backwards questions. The keys are all posted, and beef up your study sheet, okay? So